There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the live afternoon swing trading room. We are broadcasting live from Nashville, Tennessee. My name is Matt DeLong, and I will be your host this afternoon. Today is Tuesday, Tech Giant Tuesday, December 1st. Make some noise. How's everybody doing? Good afternoon, Cal, Allison, Mike, Terry, Jay. That little intro was not my daughter. It was not DJ Dan. We had someone build that for us. So yeah, super cool. I do want to start by showing you guys two things. One is we have two classes free coming up. If you have not yet RSVP'd for this, this is the first one. This is the live trader psychology class. This is something Jeremy's always wanted to do. So we have that on the books scheduled coming up very soon, next week actually. So if you have not done that, please sign up. We do have a special guest, Anil Gupta. I've talked to him a few times myself. Super cool guy. And sign up for that if you have not yet done that. I will put a link in the chat pane real quick. Boom. There we go. That is the first one. The second one is the RLT Trader Summit. We got a new landing page built for this. And if you guys have not yet, this is on Saturday, which is in about a week and a half. And 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. This is a trader summit. So basically all of our lead traders, mentors, moderators have different slots, and you'll see the time is over here. So Ricky's going first. He's kicking it off. He's the co-founder of Real Life Trading Australia. And I've seen some of the slide decks for this, and you guys will not want to miss this. Just trust me on this, okay? Totally, it'll be an all-day thing. It's from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And go ahead and sign up if you have not yet done it. There is a totally free option, as we do with almost everything. We do have, if you want the recordings, we charge a few dollars. Now, we have spent some legit money on the slide decks, okay? And you guys, I don't know how many presentations there are here, but we have gone all out. So this will be a very first, and we'll say our annual RLT Trader Summit. And let me put the link to that as well. All right, guys, how are we doing? Tell me how you guys did. Put some numbers in chat pane. How was your November? I heard Jeremy was over 100 R, which is just amazing. How did you guys do? Hector 16, 22, Ross 9. Amazing, man. So proud. What else? I know some of you guys maybe have some numbers that maybe you're not necessarily proud of. Maybe it's a negative number, but it's all good, guys. We're a family here, right? If you can't grow in a loving, supportive community, how are you going to grow, right? Let's see, we got wow, Jay, Ariel, Luis, T, 46R. Yes, I remember you messaged me about that. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Allison down a little bit. Okay. Jay, you're down a little bit today. 52 last month. Yeah. Momo. Everyone loves Momo. I never thought in a million years that people would love it so much, but it's made me lots of R's, and I just decided one day to share it. So there we go. Christmas comes early for some of them. All right. So let's take a look at a few things. Let's take a look at the overall markets. Long term, let me turn off my naked put indicator for just a minute. Long term, we have all-time highs, if you can believe that, on SPY. Is that right? It is. Wow. Welcome to all-time highs, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I did put in the chat pane today that I would be very cautious about selling put options, not necessarily on the indexes, but on your whatever's on your watch list. We all know at all-time highs, you can kind of retest some of this level, right? And so if the market has some kind of a pullback overall in the indexes, no matter what happens, where you sold on your put options, you're going to get some kind of a pullback overall. So I'd just be super cautious about selling up here at all-time highs, right? Now, obviously here, my little red flags are the distribution days, which we've been talking about for the past, I don't know, 3-4 weeks. And those represent like caution. Those are caution flags when a lot of those build up. So the way I see this kind of happening is if we are able to go sideways for another, let's see, till probably Monday, we're able to chop a little bit, not have any massive sell-off days, chop sideways, these last two will go away and we'll only have 4 distribution days left. So I use this kind of like a caution flag, just like with NASCAR. Everyone knows a caution flag means slow down, be cautious. So just something to keep in mind. So let's take a look at the Qs. The Qs have a similar kind of thing, right? You give it a few more days for these last couple distribution days to roll off, and we'll be sitting pretty. Now, again, the Qs also looks like all-time high. Look at that, another all-time high. Ladies and gentlemen, 2020 is quite the year, setting all kinds of new, interesting, crazy records. Now, someone did ask, which is a great question. Jay asked, what are the red numbers? And the red numbers basically represent my distribution days. So I'm counting. I'm going back 25 days, and my numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going back 25 days. And I was actually using that to help troubleshoot something, and I forgot to turn it off. That's the bottom line. So I thought might as well share it with you guys. So this is kind of how Jerremy has magical powers to say, hey, I'm going to cash. I don't quite have those same magical powers. I have to have specifics, and this is kind of how I do it. This is a distribution days is a IBD in Investor Business Daily kind of concept. And it basically just says, hey, when you got a bunch of these piling up, just be super cautious, right? So that is what I have on the Qs, all-time highs. Next is the diamonds, which I believe we have a few less distribution days. So we got 3, right? So looks like it's clear. It did not, let's see, it did not close. Looks like it's gapping down just a smidge overnight or after hours. So the DIA still looks solid. We do not have as many distribution days, which means, you don't necessarily have to be as cautious on this. But because I like lots of tech companies, this is the one I pay attention to even more than SPY personally. Just me, just personally, because the Qs are, a lot of my tech stocks are directly mapped to Qs. So whatever happens here is kind of like the index for most of my tech stocks. How do I identify the flag days? It is, yep, great question, Maloney. It's, I'll show you if you want to see. There you go. There's my code. So it's basically when you have a volume a day where you have more than 0.2% down on a day with higher volume than the previous session. So you'll see this session had higher volume than the previous session, right? So those two things overlap. On this day, you'll see up here that it was down 3.9%, right? And then that volume was higher than the previous day, previous session. So that's kind of how how it's built in, and it makes it super easy. You can just quick glance, look at where you are. You don't have to, I used to like count 1, 2, 3, and then you have to look at all the percentages. This makes it super, super easy to make that determination. And it's built in, I have it built into my long-term button here. So yeah, and it only works on the indexes. That's the only thing to consider. Yep. Any other questions about that? I know not everyone has been on these calls when we talk about distribution days, but that is that. So next up is OM, Outset Medical. I'm not that familiar with this group, but for long-term, for put sales, I have, my rules say I cannot touch this. Does anyone know I cannot touch this for put sales? Does anyone know? Not okay. That's correct. It's not on my 15, but besides that, no, not the blue line. There is no 200-day simple moving average to be above, right? So you guys may know these brand new IPOs, there's no 200-day moving average that I can measure against. It's still in diapers as far as IPO diapers, right? It's not old enough to have a 200-day moving average start yet, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing, of course, is it's not on my 15. Yep, exactly. So, but who knows? It might be on some of you guys' list. So let's take a look at it with our 10 EMA moving average. You'll see here that this just started its moving average. So it's just got a little bitty line. And for our all intents and purposes, if this goes below and closes above, right, that would be a trigger for a 10 EMA, right? That certainly could happen. If we were to look at it on, let's look at it on the Momo timeframe, the Momo strategy, look at it through our magic glasses, it did give a trigger at the close of this candle to go short. Obviously, a lot of these IPOs are kind of wild and they don't necessarily always trend well. If you were able to jump in down here when it gave you the long signal, obviously you were able to ride that up nicely and you would have exited and started short here. However, if you did not get into that, you can see the downside of the Momo is all this chop right through here, right? It's like giving you mixed signals. It's like dating in high school, right? Lots and lots of mixed signals. I do, I don't, I will, I won't, right? So that's what I have for you guys on OM. I don't really see anything setting up that I would pull the trigger on just yet on that, but we can certainly watch that for Momo in the next day or two, right? So we did close below the 10 EMA. We're looking for a pop above. So that is OM. So next is Lowe's, which I need to visit them today and get some more Christmas decorations. Do you guys ever feel when you put your Christmas decorations out, like especially the outdoor ones, like all the lights I just bought last year or the year before, like they stopped working? It's like, what in the world? Every year it's like a 1 year lights outside only work for a year. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Robert says they make them that way, right? They're made to only last for a year and then you got to buy all new ones. I don't know, I feel like I've rebought these things so many times. Crazy. Yeah, designed to fail. Okay, so on Lowe's, let's take a look on the long term. We will, of course, have some moving averages. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. If you were able to take advantage of this put sale, look at that. So that was going back on the 18th. So that was what, a week, 2 ago. Yep. Nothing triggered today. Obviously, tomorrow, if we get some kind of a gap down and a sell off, we're going to get our little green trigger, our little signal, and we'll be looking at around the 130, 135 put sale. We do need to make sure we get our premium, right? So we need at least our 1% per month. So if we're selling out 1 month, we're going to need $1.35. If we're going to sell out 2, we're going to need $2.70 and so forth. So that looks decent right there. Let's look at it on a medium term. Okay, so our 10 EMA would not have triggered here. And the reason is because these two are inverted, right? The green and the blue are inverted. We need to be above the 50, right? The green line is my 50-day exponential moving average, and we are not. So what we would do is we would just wait. Now on a short term, Momo, let's see what Momo has to say. You guys can see there's some decent trends coming through here, at least a good couple of weeks. Popped one higher. And right now it looks like it's just kind of consolidating for now, short term, right, in this area. So this is the Achilles heel of the Momo strategy, is this chop can kind of eat you alive. But if you're in, if you're in it at the right time, when it makes a nice trending couple week long move, you're golden. It'll set up and work for you very much in your behalf. Yep. Naked put indicator is possible swing entry 2. That makes sense. It seems to work from time to time. So they're like mixing some of these strategies together is okay. I haven't really studied that exactly. On the put sale, you want some kind of a sell off, right? So you want the stock to be moving down when you're selling a put option. So fear is high. On the 10 EMA, you want it to be moving up, right? You want it to be above the 10 moving average. So I'd have to study it more, but obviously these are two different movements. You're waiting for it to go higher, waiting for it to go lower. Those are two different things. And then the moving averages for Momo are very much, they're just moving average crossovers. So, yep. Mike, study that. Let me know if you were able to combine this. I have not added anything else like the ADX or other things Tyler's asking about. I've not done that. But let me know. Everyone is free to tweak, and I kind of offered the vanilla sundae, and you guys are welcome to put some caramel or some nuts or whatever makes you happy, hot fudge on that. Yep. The only thing that I have seen that I'm studying still is when you get a trigger on the 10 EMA, right? If you get this and you get on the same day where you get this kind of a signal, and it's the same day where Momo triggers you to go in long, right? So you'll see here that kind of worked, right? When you get those two overlapping, it seems to work well. Now, the more requirements you put on signals to enter, the more likely you'll get less of those, right? So you can have, a checklist of 1,700 things before you enter a trade, but you might enter, 2 trades a month if you have this massive list. So you just have to be mindful of that, right? The bigger, the tighter the requirements, or the bigger the list, the less likely you'll get those signals, right? So, yep. And my boy Jonathan Wage has some tools. I'll show you that maybe Friday. I'll show you some tools that he has built that makes signals coming from Momo. So you guys know you can set an alert, right? You can go into trend following. You can set a trend reversing alert. There's different alerts in here, but imagine these alerts powering automatic trading, right? So using different brokers like Thinkorswim or Alpaca. So Alpaca is one of the supported brokers here from TradingView, but imagine these signals for going long or short on whatever watch list, like it's built for my 15 watch list and some other favorites of RLT. And imagine those signals going to a automatic trading system. So working on some cool stuff behind the scenes. John Wage, thank you so much for doing that. Yep. Okay, where were we? Lows. Let's see. Let's go back to the medium term. Lows are moving averages are inverted, so nothing there. If we get another sell-off, as long as we're still holding above this 200 SMA, I think selling some put options on lows around the 130, 135 level is solid, right? Next is one that is in a doghouse still with me at least, which is AYX. I still have some shares on this and they're still red. I will not be adding any put sales because we're below our 200 SMA, right? So I'm not adding any put sales because we're down here. Our moving averages are still inverted for our 10 EMA, so nothing to do there just yet. Maybe in a few weeks these cross and we get some other signals, but right now nothing. I think we did get a little trigger today. Yep, about AYX. So I have done nothing yet. I do have some puts. I'm going to be buying some put options if we continue to go a little bit lower, maybe down here in this area. So that's just protective for the shares that I have. So nothing super concerning just yet. You will see that there's some chop, right? There's chop, and that's typically the downside again to Momo is the choppiness, right? Okay, let's see. Next is NVIDIA, which I do know it did trigger. NVIDIA did trigger. So if you I have this in my Alpaca account. So if you guys will see here that we got a trigger here, this is the most recent trigger to go long, and do a limit buy here. Now, what's interesting about these, people ask me this all the time, what happens if I missed the signal? Well, if you were to go back in time and you were to get the signal here, boom, and whatever reason your order didn't get filled or you were in a meeting or something happened, right? You didn't get in. keep your order open. Look at that. Boom, next, you got in. And if you didn't get in that candle, you could have got in that candle, right? So that trade obviously is a little bit green right now. We're hoping for that trend to continue and go higher, right? So our moving averages kind of separate and go a little, that's terrible. That is terrible drawing. So maybe our stock price action goes something like that. I replace terrible with another terrible line. So does everyone understand on the Momo kind of what? And so also, if you haven't gotten in, nothing wrong with leaving a limit buy open here. If you're using shares, right, you can go back and look at. You can go ahead and set it order up here. Leave this open. If you're looking to play with options, you can certainly do. Typically, what I do with options on Momo is a 30 days to expiration. 0.4, or some people will call it 40 delta, right? So that just means a little bit out of the money. So you're buying call options a little bit out of the money. So certainly you can do that. You can put in a limit order for a little bit of a pullback to get filled on those options and continue higher. So nothing just yet. You can certainly open that order up on NVIDIA. If you'd like, next, actually, let me look at this on a medium. So look at that. Did we get the same date? November 27th, we got a trigger. Now, ladies and gentlemen, some people will fuss and say, oh, Momo, I'm sorry, not Momo, the 10 EMA, we kind of chopped around, but that's kind of what happens when things consolidate, right? And you kind of want that. Is just like in this area, right through here, you see that it consolidated for a little bit, right? You got triggers to go bullish, kind of chopped around a little bit. And if you were patient, you got a nice run out of it, right? Same thing here, we're kind of chopping, but if you were paying attention and you got in, you could have got in. Lots of R's to be made here. You guys see that? Lots of R's to be made, right? That's meat off the bone right there, right? Nice, nice move. So all that, if you're willing to be patient, willing to wait, good things can happen, right? And whether you play that with shares, whether you play that with options, leaps, whatever method you chose, some nice gains, right? And this. If you look at something like NVIDIA and you look at this like COVID sell-off, this looks like a big nothing burger, right? Right through here, a big nothing burger, right? A couple weeks of selling. And if you were able to be patient, you had a nice, I'll try again, a nice run up. And you're able to lock in some R's on that. Look at that run from 200 to almost 600. I mean, how many people can 3x their money in just a few months on a stock? I mean, NVIDIA is they're not a little bitty company, right? They're a pretty substantial size company. So interesting moves on NVIDIA. Okay, so let's look at this. The 10 EMA triggered on November 27th, and my Momo would have triggered on November 27. Yep. It would have triggered to get in and then get out. So anyways, that's what I got on NVIDIA. Okay, next is EA Sports, Electronic Arts. Anyone a video gamer here in this community? I know some of you guys are not being honest. Robert, I know some of you guys play video games. I know it. Any video game players out there? I haven't played video games in a while myself, but Mike M is not a video gamer. All righty. Well, Electronic Arts. So if you're using the put indicator, you guys could see this was an absolute amazing day to sell puts. And if you bottom ticked that thing right there, you could have very easily bought to close probably 50% easily in what, 3-4 weeks, something like that. Yep. Okay, so I'm not sure what all the games are that EA owns. Who owns Call of Duty? That's the only franchise I'm familiar with. I used to play there with my half brother like years ago in his basement. Okay, Activision, gotcha. So you guys see why sell puts, right? Buy to close 50% premium. nice moves on EA. If we were to switch over to the 10 EMA, our moving average is inverted, so we wouldn't have got a signal there. If we were to look at our Momo, if you were to get in, looks like they had a dividend here today. However, if you were to get in right here, right on this signal, you'd be at some nice gainage. And for those of you who have a smaller account, I do get questions often about smaller accounts in Momo. Obviously, trading a $120 stock with a small account, depending on how small, is not necessarily ideal. It'll use up a lot of your buying power, all or more than you have buying power. However, if you were to buy a call option, it uses a lot. It's a higher risk, of course, time wise, but you could certainly do that, and you can certainly enter with the 30 days to expiration call option and like a 40 delta, so slightly out of the money, right? A little bit out of the money call option, and you can do that for a fraction of the actual $120. So again, if you are not familiar with trading options, we do have a course. It was part of our Black Friday sale right here. Options trading, 99 bucks. It was half that earlier as of yesterday, last night when it expired, the sale expired. But if you are not familiar with options trading, this is a great course to start on. I know a lot of people picked this up over the Black Friday sale. Saw lots of orders coming through for this, but take a look at that if you'd love to learn how to do options. Now, typically I recommend people who have been trading profitably maybe for 6 months, profitably 6 months in a row before picking up options, but there's nothing at all that say you can't invest some time and some eyeballs on learning options, even though maybe not necessarily ready to trade them live. They are a totally different beast. So if you are not familiar with driving, if you want to learn to drive before you jump in a Ferrari, right? You can wrap that around a telephone pole very easily. And these are the Ferrari. A lot of people are attracted to the percent gains, right? The money that can be made, but they totally forget that it's a double-edged sword, right? There's time decay and things that can kind of work against you. So EA, good signal to enter there. If you're not yet in, I would wait. Otherwise, I would look for put sales on pullback days, right? On days that are pulling back. I do not see anything setting up right just yet on that. But you know what? If we have some kind of a sell-off, something to consider. Actually, you know what? I just noticed this. This candle is below the 200 moving average. I need to set that up so that the dollar sign is hidden when it's below the red line. I need to change that. So anyways, we're just disregard what I said about selling puts on this day. That would not have been according to my plan. So, okay, let's see. Where are we? This company you guys may have heard of called Amazon. Anyone heard of it? Oh my goodness, I'm sure these companies have record numbers for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, with all the lockdowns and all the craziness that is in 2020. Had to have had some craziness. Now, what I did notice today when I was looking at this is Momo had a nice trigger back on the 24th. Right, so that would have been last Tuesday. Now, here's why I say keep orders open if you miss it. Okay, so if I was triggered in here, and with Amazon, you certainly to buy shares you need a big account, or you can use options. Now options on these $3,000 stocks are very pricey. You cannot do this you cannot trade $100 R and buy a contract of Amazon. These things, the bid-ask spread is even wider than that at times. But however, if you were to buy this at the limit buy and you were to roll forward, and let's say you missed it, right? You would have been filled. Let's say right there you missed it. You could keep the order open, right? We'll see what happens. Boom. Look at that. So you had been in, right? and we've been rolling higher. Now, the thing that is interesting about Amazon is if you didn't poop your pants with this candle and you notice the green shaded area, it's saying, hey, even though the price action jumping around, and this is a little bit of a scary candle if you're bullish, right? It's very, not very, but it's a scary candle. But if you're following your plan, you're like, okay, I still got the green shaded area, so I'm still going to be bullish. Even when it went down here, you'll see that the moving averages kind of twisted and gyrated just a little bit, went lower, but overall we still have a green shaded area, right? You guys see that? So all that to say that even if you miss a trade, keep it open, keep orders open for a few days, unless you need buying power, and shut, close the order down. But that kind of movement, I mean, that's classic S curve right there, right? Classic. Okay, so that is Amazon. And our moving averages look like they're crossing here on the 10 EMA strategy as well. Again, look at all the R's you could have made, ladies and gentlemen. If you were prepped, ready, if you knew how to execute your plan, if you weren't afraid of pullbacks, look at these. Look at this, right? Lots of R's to be made. Now, obviously, this consolidation in this chop, maybe that's the double top, right? You guys see that? Maybe that's a double top right there. But regardless, lots of money to be made on Amazon. It would have been cool to do an experiment, to put, I don't know, $10,000 on Amazon when they first came out. I don't know what it would be worth today. Has Amazon ever split? I'm not aware that they have, but I'm not sure. Robert, do you know if they've split? So, okay, not sure. I don't think so either. So maybe one day, right? Maybe not. We'll see what happens. So for those of you who weren't, you weren't in RLT back in March. Yep. Well, you're here now, so that's what matters, right? Okay, next is DKNG, DraftKings. Let's see. So DraftKings, if we can get a close below the 10 EMA and then a close above the very next day, so maybe by later this week, maybe we get that signal. That would have been solid for a 10 EMA if we were to look at it on long-term moving averages, looking at it with our put sales. Let's see, it did pull back pretty good ways below our what would that have been, a $45 strike. So interesting. I actually had some shares on this. I think I only had like 200 shares on this. In my long-term retirement account. So something I'm going to sit on for a while. So that's DraftKings. Let's take a look on the Momo indicator. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. The good thing is with Momo is you want to get in and let it trend. You want to get in and let it work for you. The chop will chop you up. And sometimes even if you lose 1 or 2 R, you can get in some of these moves that maybe make, more than obviously 1 or 2 R's, depending on how you play it. So again, this is a good one that tends to trend. You see that? We have a good clean movement, right? You enter here on this candle, right? Yeah, right. Nice move, trended for good week. You exit, take your gains, and then look at this. That was a nice trend. That was probably a couple of weeks right there. More than a couple of weeks, probably October. Yeah, it's a good month. Yep. And then you guys know the rest of the story. Let's see. Here's my drawings. So DraftKings looks solid on the Momo as far as Momo is concerned. Next is, I wouldn't set anything up just yet. I would just wait for whatever signals. Again, we might get some kind of a pullback with a turnaround in the next couple of days. We need at least 2 days, right? You got to close below the blue line, this light blue line rather, close below and then close above. So we need at least 2 days. So close below yesterday and close above today. So It's going to be at least 2 more days at a minimum, maybe more. On DraftKings. Next is LSPD. Light. That can't be right. Is that right? Light speed. Okay. Is this a stock or it is, isn't it? Huh. Never looked at this one before, but you got our signals, right, ladies and gentlemen? Go long, be bullish, signal, signal. Look at that. 2 days ago was all-time high, close of an all-time high. Let's take a look at it on a longer term. Okay, so it's been around. Man, this thing, look at this. This thing jumps around, gaps. It's like Budweiser. Yeesh. Looks like it cleans up its act a little bit through here. But I don't see anything just yet on Lightspeed. On Momo, let's take a look what it has for us. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. Get in at 33, almost doubled your money. That would have been on November 4th. So you would have been in it a good month. And that's the power of Momo, right? Once it starts trending, you want to be in it. And if you were to bite down and hold through that little choppiness, you'll see that they never actually switched, right? That was a nail biter time. And then look at this. Boom. So Lightspeed, I don't see anything setting up. It looks like it's made some moves. You want to wait for some more pullback to get in on Lightspeed. So that's what I have for you there. Next is Zillow. Look at Zillow. Nice. So if you are not in already, you certainly can get in. So Zillow on a 10, using our 10 EMA, our blue line is above the green line, and we closed below on this day, closed above here. So if you are not in, I imagine you can put in set up some limit orders to get in, right? So we're going to buy here with a stop market, something like this, right? Now, do you guys see why? I'm saying to do that? Number one, this is our 10 EMA. We got a green signal. We're going to buy at the close. So the close of this is 106.38. 106.38. No, that's not right. Sorry, I looked at the wrong thing. The 108.05. 108.05. There we go. Looks better. We got our signal to get in. If we're not in, looks like we got some chop past couple days. Now you'll notice that this has a nice lower shadow. So there's some buying pressure definitely coming in. The thing that I did notice too is if you look, if you were to look right here at this candle, you got quite a bit of buying volume compared to, like, this would be the previous volume if you were to zoom out. And so if anyone bought on this day and then the next day we close below, you know that it's going to go lower. It may not go lower for long, right? And then it held, kind of went lower, held, and then it's kind of chopped around past a week or two, and it's kind of chopping, going higher, making a series of higher lows as well. Do you guys see that? So if you're talking about just pure strategy for the 10 EMA, that looks like a solid place to get in. If you were to look at it on the longer term with our moving average, our longer term moving averages, and looking at the 10 EM, I'm sorry, the put sale indicator, looks solid. Looks solid above our exponential 200 simple moving average, rather, right? This would have been a good day to sell some premium. Not quite tons of a premium probably available at this level, but Zillow, yep, I have a house, one of my houses for sale right now. Real estate is hot, especially in some of these, well, probably not in New York City, probably not in California, but everywhere else in the world. So, yep, that's what I have for you guys on Zillow. Any questions so far? You guys with me still? Is this on? Okay. Okay, Zillow, let's take a look at it on the Momo. What does Momo have to say for us? It's chopping, definitely chopping. So our Momo would say to go short here at this candle. Zillow is not on my watch list, so, but someone somewhere asked for this, so that is my review of Zillow. Certainly nothing, nothing wrong with waiting for pullbacks. In this case, the pullback has happened, and you can certainly get into Zillow. It's not on my watch list, but it's definitely, I'm very familiar with what they do. All right, next is Frog. Is that right? Frog. So we would not be doing put sales because we do not have our 200 SMA, right? It's still it's got its IPO diapers on still. So that's one thing. The 10 EMA, where price action is below our blue line, so that would not have triggered, right? Because we need the blue above the green for our 10 EMA strategy. For Momo, looks like it triggered right here at the close of this candle. That was our most recent. Would you keep a order open? Sure, absolutely. Why not? Limit buy. And I don't even know what JFrog Limited. I don't even know what they do, but killer trigger symbol, definitely memorable. Okay, next is someone said gold, but I'm talking about gold. I'm talking about GLD. It's on my list. Let's take a look. Either way, gold. Yep. So looks like it had a nice made a nice bearish kind of sell off here for a good. Let's see, November 9th to so about good 3 weeks. Nice 3 weeks of selling off. And I would expect something like this to continue. If you are not in yet, certainly set up some orders to close of that. That's what Momo would tell us to do, right? Limit buy at 23.76. Limit buy 23.76. There we go. Boom. If you're not in, I would imagine I can easily see that filling in the next day or two, right? It might chop around a little bit, continue higher. I can see that working. We did have a little bit of consolidation here. It might make a slower move first and then continue higher. But either way, at the end of the day, I've learned that the market doesn't really care what lines I drew, doesn't care what lines you drew. It's going to do its thing regardless of what we think, regardless of what we hypothesize. It's going to do its thing one way or another. And the quicker I was able to learn that, I think the better off for me, because I only take trades that fit a strategy. The days of jumping in just because everyone else did, those are over, very much over for Matt. So nothing here long term. Yep, put sales. We are below the red 200 some moving average. I would not do anything there. That is what I have for you on gold. Next is COM. I don't know if is that what someone entered COM, or was it typoed CRM? I think certainly it's CRM, maybe, right? Okay, CRM got a trigger yesterday to sell some puts on the 210 level. CRM, yep. If you got into that, you can see how many times, ladies and gentlemen, it triggered, went higher, triggered, went higher, right? Rinse and repeat, triggered, went higher, triggered, and we'll see what happens with the most recent one. So that's what I'm seeing on that. Let's go over here and let's switch to the 10 EMA. Look at how many signals we got. In case you missed any of these and you're not paying attention, you got a lot of these in rapid succession, all machine gun fire signals. So you guys can certainly set up alerts. I typically do not use alerts for the 10 EMA because I'm just cycling through them really quickly. If you don't know this, but on your watch list, you're able to hit, at least on a Mac, you can hit your up and down arrows to cycle very quickly through. Well, you'll see I'm cycling through quickly through your watch list very, very quickly. So that's what I do at the close to the close to see if I want to jump into anything based on my rules, based on my trading plan. Here, it's okay. We close below. We want to, I probably want a little pop higher to close above for the 10 EMA to work. The put sales looked solid earlier, just a second ago. Momo is probably going to lower, give us a trigger to go shorter. Yep. Yep. And it's chopping around. Again, this is the ideal scenario for Momo is you have a nice, good run, couple week move, right? You'll see how it's nice and clean. Same thing here, nice, clean run. You got a couple, 3-4 days there, and then you got this chop through here. So if you're able to get in here at the close of that, you'd be up just a tad. Put options, obviously, if you have shares, you'd be up what, $9 a share, give or take some change. So that is what I got for you on Momo for CRM. Next is Roku. I gotta fly, geez, running out of time. You guys see all these little alerts. If we had able to take advantage of these, boom, right? If we were to look on a long term, it's suggesting the 220 put option for some pullback. I'm gonna wait a little bit on Roku. Roku, I really, really like. I'm waiting for a pullback that's yet to happen. I'm trying to build a pyramid over here and it keeps going higher. You guys ever feel like that? Right? You got 3 legs, 4 legs of a pyramid you're trying to build out and it just keeps going higher. So you're like, well now what? Well, we're going to wait. We're going to still execute our plan. I've literally had orders open for months and then magically one day they just trigger. It's pretty crazy. So okay, looks like we got a decent sell signal here for some put options back on first, second week of November. Let's look at it on our medium. Yep. So if you were to play this with the 10 EMA, we need to close below on day 1, close above on day 2, and we're going to buy at the close. That's what we need for our 10 EMA strategy to trigger us in. If we look at it on the Momo, we would have entered right here, 231. And I don't know why I didn't enter in there. I don't know if I had too many positions back first week of that, but yeah. Yep. So Diego was asking about put sales if it falls after hours. Put sales options are not traded after hours. Obviously the stock is, which it's a derivative of the stock. So your P&L for the put sale on a company like Roku or Salesforce, any of those, the P&L won't move until the market opens the next day. But CRM, if it is down after hours, it's down quite a bit. So what that means is you might have some good selling opportunities. See, I don't know if you guys can see that there's a blue line right here, which shows where the market is right now after hours on CRM. So if we get a good signal to sell put sales on that and CRM is on your watch list and you're familiar with put sales, absolutely. But to answer your question, the market is closed for options. There is no after hours option market. So your P&L, you'd have to get in during market hours, right? Yeah. I'm not sure if that answered your question. How would they behave or how should we behave? We follow our plan. If you sold put options and let's say you sold put options today and you notice that it's gapping down the very next day, your plan should say you're selling put options on stocks you want to own. So a lot of times people jump into put options because like, oh, it's easy money, but there will come a time, ladies and gentlemen, where it will not work how you think. You will panic. You will fail. Bad things will happen. And maybe a capital call comes knocking on your door. But rule number 1 should be don't sell put options on things you do not want to own. So if you're not okay with owning, in this case, CRM at the 210 strike, don't sell it, right? You're literally providing insurance to someone. So don't play with fire. especially these growth stocks. Some of these things can explode. It's like firecrackers that can explode in your hand. Don't tempt the market to punch you in the stomach and teach you a lesson. So, yep. And then also there's nothing wrong with, if you want to sell 3 contracts, there's nothing wrong with selling a little bit here, selling a little more here, a little more here for the same strike price. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as that's part of your plan. You don't want to have 100% position here and it goes lower and you do another 100%. Like you don't really want to do that, because that's how, that's not a good thing, right? Adding to a loser is okay if that's part of your plan, if you're legging in. But if your plan's to buy, to sell 10 contracts total on CRM, or 2 contracts or 3 contracts, you don't want to go all in immediately and then add to it a second and third and fourth time, right? Because you're doubling and tripling and quadrupling your risk. And just because a trade is down on a put sale does not necessarily mean you're going to lose on it, right? You could have sold put option premium right here on this day, and on this day right here you could be down. Your P&L will be down because someone probably sold it for less than you did. But if you were to wait and get back up to this level, wait a week, couple weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks, you could have probably bought to close, depending on your expiration. So you guys see how that works. So same thing here. If you were to sell right in this time frame, my drawing is ferocious today, right? At the top of that, maybe you could have got your 50% premium back. So at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, your job is what? What is your job as a trader? Tell me. Yeah. Your job is to execute your plan. Allison got it right. Maloney, Zach, yep, Mike. Maloney, it's actually not to make money. How many of you guys are shocked to hear me say it? I've said this before many times, but your job is to execute your plan, not to make money. What if I told you guys real life trading? I'm dropping the microphone here. Your job is not to make money. Your job is to execute the plan. The plan makes you money, right? It's like Hamburger University. Your job is not to learn how to make hamburgers. Your job is to execute the system. The system makes the burgers for you, right? You have to just sit back. And if you lose R's in R, if you lose an R on a trade, it's not your fault. It's the plan's fault. It's the strategy's fault, right? You can take the weight of that off your shoulders. If you can get this down, your job is not to make money. It's to execute your plan. Yep. And then also, you guys have probably heard this, but I've said it before, but scared money don't make money. Have you guys heard that before? Scared money don't make money. So if you need money to pay the bills, you probably should not be using that money to trade with. There's lots and lots of opportunities. I can show you on Amazon, any company that was, as 10 or 20x'd in the past few years. There's lots of opportunities where you could have lost your shirt if you were trying to quickly, make a trade happen where things weren't setting up in your favor. So scared money does not make money. Now, in early January, I'm going to be teaching some more classes for struggling and new traders. It's going to be some content to kind of help you guys, equip you guys. We're going to put some success tools in your fingertips. Okay. Now, regardless of where you are in your trading journey, Allison, anyone who's Maloney, anyone, wherever you are in your trading journey, okay, wherever you are right now, it's more important where you're going than where you are, right? You can be bagging groceries for a living. And if you're studying, you're hustling, you're back trading, you're doing your thing, right? It doesn't matter where you are right now. The future will be bright. However, if you're not studying, you're not back trading, you're doing all this, you got some success under your, in November, and it's time to get lazy, right? You're not going to back trade. You're not going to study. You're going to wake up late. You're going to jump in, right? Just trust me, I've been through this. Anyone who's traded more than 3 or 4 years know that there's this cycle where you get a little bit lazy and lax when you have some nice gains, right? And then that leads to losses, and then that leads to hustling, and then that leads to a little bit of lax. And it's this wave of cycle that if you get to a place where you're always doing what you're supposed to, regardless of how you feel, regardless of what time, where you are in the month with your current R's, regardless of any of those outside forces, as long as you're always doing what you're supposed to, I like those odds. Now, someone who's super emotional needs the money right now. I got to pay my rent or my mortgage in a couple days. That's not, you're not in the right headspace. You're asking for the market to punch you in the face. Just trust me. Some of us like Falco, we've been doing this for years. Just trust me on that. If you want to be successful, you have to put in you have to install the right habits, which will help you build the right routines, which will help you consistently win. So that's what I have for you guys on that. That's my sermon for the day. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have on the list? Okay. And for any of you, let's do this. How many of you guys have not had a 10R month? Why don't you guys, if you haven't had a 10R month, put your initials in the chat pane. There's nothing wrong with it. We all started somewhere. How many of you guys would like to have a 10R month? Now, I could tell you guys what to do to get a 10R month, right? It may not happen in December, it may not be January, but if you can do what you're supposed to get there, don't even worry about where you are right now. Don't even worry if you lost 40 R. Like we're very aware that at the end of every month, we see everyone's wins and everything's great. We're very aware that there is a X% of people who do not post their results because they're frankly a little embarrassed, right? It's like everyone else seems to be doing great. I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna keep quiet. We're very aware that happens. But again, if you can't learn in a supportive community, how are you gonna learn without a supportive community, right? It does take time. Absolutely takes time. And to learn and be good at anything, you have to put in thousands of hours. Just like if you're a software developer, just like if you're an electrician, certainly any kind of doctor, right? You have to put in the time. There's not a quick, how do I get to the head of the class kind of moment. You have to do the work. You have to put time in the saddle, as my daughter would say. She's equestrian, competes and stuff. So time in the saddle. There's no way around that. You got to do the homework. You got to learn. You got to study. You got to do your thing. Okay. So for those of you who put in your initials in there, Maloney, reach out to me on. Actually, let's do this. For those of you who put your initials in, I'm going to give away a free coaching session right now, today, with me. Jonathan Wage. Now everyone's waking up. Look at that. Okay. Some of you guys, I know you've done more than 10R. I've watched and you're putting your initials in. Free stuff. I'm in. So before I do that, Edward asked, what's a reasonable amount of time to expect the 10, 50, 100R months? It's not time-based, it's you-based, right? So the question should be, how many hours of hard work and hustling and following your plan do you need? Like we literally have people who've been trading a few months and are consistently profitable. Will that always happen? Maybe, maybe not. But the quicker you can get this thing, you have to follow your plan and be non-emotional. So I would say, number one, the very first thing you have to think about is, this is the advice we give to brand new traders all the time. Number one, you need a system. You don't have to automate it, but you need some kind of system, something that you can execute on, okay? And that execution allows whatever strategy, whatever trading plan you have, it allows that to work in your favor, right? Assuming, just like with the casino has a very, very tiny edge, right? I mean, just a slight, I think it's like 2 or 3% edge, right? So imagine, let's just say 3%. So imagine you have a 47-53, right? Odds, slightly, or I'm sorry, 53-47 odds. So it's slightly in your favor, right? That's all you really need to be profitable, right? You're gonna lose $100 for every $200, and you're gonna win slightly more often than you lose, right? And it's very, very, very possible. But if you're jumping out of good trades early because there's a slight down move and you're being all emotional, right? Those kind of things you're gonna sabotage yourself. And the thing that I learned years ago is it's super easy in a group like this where we have 400 or 500 traders. It's super easy to compare yourself to other people, right? oh, I wish I had, I wish I had $100 like Jeremy did too, but I didn't. I wish I could, but at the end of the day, I have to kind of stop myself. At the end of the day, number one, am I the best person I can be? I'm not Jeremy. I don't trade crypto like he does. I don't do some things that he does. I have my own strategies, right? But am I the best person I can be? And me this week, is it better than me last week? Right? If you're always hustling and you're a little bit better, imagine being like 1% better as a trader, 1% every month, and then fast forward a few years, right? We've talked to traders that are in their teens, we've talked to 70, 80-year-olds, like all ranges of people, different stages of life, right? Brand new, starting out their lives. Other people have kids and grandkids and great grandkids, very, very different stages of life. But if you're able to put in the time and do what you need to, and not pay attention to the P&L, which is that scoreboard that everyone stares at that distracts them. I told this story the other day. How many of you guys played sports in high school, right? And you're standing on the field, right? You're playing soccer, whatever, basketball, and all you're doing is staring at the scoreboard, right? The ball's in movement, things are happening, the crowd's cheering, and you're just looking at the P&L. How many of you guys do that same thing? How ridiculous does that sound now as I say it? But you guys, some of you do that same exact thing, right? And so if you're at a place where you think of losing 1R as like the worst thing ever, I can't ever do that, that's terrible, your R size needs to go down. You need to get it to a place where you think of it like a paper cut, right? How many of you guys are afraid of a paper cut? Hopefully no one says, yes, I'm afraid of a paper cut, right? But I know that some of you guys are, I know some of you are brand new, some of you are struggling. We're all at different stages of life. And I just want to encourage you guys, if you stick with it, follow the plan and execute the plan. For December, is it possible if some of you guys just go all commando? And what if you gave yourself an extreme accountability project where every trade you placed, you either A+ followed the plan, or F, you did not follow the plan. And I don't mean you're close, you did what you're supposed to. I mean exactly, like to a T. If IRS was looking over your shoulder and said, did you do this right here, this little thing exactly according to your plan, right? If you have that kind of extreme accountability, I guarantee things will change and things will improve. Your trading will improve, right? Once you're trading, once you get some confidence under your belt, you get some good trades under your belt, the confidence builds, and then that just snowballs, and you're not so afraid if you're losing 1R, right? You guys can see how that can compound and grow. But at the end of the day, think of 1R loss like a paper cut. And if you're not able to do that yet, you need to reduce the size of your R, right? It doesn't matter how big of an account. If you have a $20 million account, it's okay to have a $50 R or a $20 R or a $100 R, whatever it is. If your skill does not match your account size. I lost a big chunk of money in my first year trying to start with a big account. I lost a big chunk. Trust me, your skill level and your account size need to match. So that's my sermon. I'm going to randomly grab some. Let me someone I don't know who this is. Let's see, someone I've not familiar with. I'm going to do a free coaching session. KD, can you reach out to me on Slack? We will schedule a coaching session sometime in the next few weeks. Okay, I am out of time, ladies and gentlemen. Let me look at one more thing real quick. Twitter, and then we'll get some tickers for tomorrow. Twitter looks decent. I would want a close below and then a close above for our 10 EMA. If we're looking at it on a long-term moving average, put sales. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. If you were to sell some puts there, you would have held on for a couple of weeks, already probably 50% of the premium, probably even more, probably 70% of the premium already gone, depending on what expiration you picked. But that's what I have on. Actually, look at the Momo real quick. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. Now, yes, how would you know that started trending? You could have assumed you got chopped up a couple times, high, low, high, low, high, low. But even if you had shares and you didn't lose any time decay, and you just had shares through this, you could have easily easily, assuming it continues higher, could have easily made some coinage, some R's, right? So thinking about it, a 10R month, let me think for a second. You need, let's say 20 trades, half of them you win on, half of them you lose on, right? So half of them you lose 1R, the other half you make 2R, right? Does that sound like so far out there that it's not achievable? It's very, very achievable, very achievable. Okay. Yes, you just moved up before Jan on my faves. Thank you. Guys, why not ask Santa for a 10R month? We did this thing last, I don't know, it was July, where you write down one thing you're capable of every day. Do you guys remember that? I told Jeremy, let's do one thing. He's like, here's three, right? 3 things. It's hard to come up with 3 things every day. But one of my things I came up with was I want to have a 25R trade. And this was July, and I think August, early August, September timeframe. I had 100 contracts a go-go. This is like my claim to fame. 100 contracts a go-go. Let's see. Right here through August, I said I want to have a 25R trade. I had 100 contracts I bought somewhere over here. It was profitable, not profitable. I just let it ride. And then this thing happened, this little rocket ship. And so I said, I want to have a 25R trade. And then literally within, I don't know, it was a couple of weeks, I had a 23.7R, one trade, 23.7. Ladies and gentlemen, it's possible. You got to be patient. I did not try to day trade in and out of this numerous times a day like some of you guys do. It's okay. Right? Just like you got to be willing to let it work in your favor. Okay. So again, I said I wanted it. Literally weeks later, almost I came this close, 23.7, not 25, right? Technically, but amazing. Okay. So hit me with your list. Tomorrow is Energy Wednesday. Let's take a look at what you guys have and what you would like to review, and we'll go from there. All right. Whoa, got a big list. Let me copy that then. Fastly, Plug, Shopify, Teladoc, Twilio, Teladoc again, I can delete the duplicate, Wix, Tesla. Okay, what else do we have? FC, I've never heard of that, FCEL. Okay, CRM, Zoom, Spotify. And ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap up today, I'll tell you this, okay? Everyone in this room has the tools to have a 10R month. Everybody, whether you follow your plan, whatever, it's up to you, right? If you deviate from your plan because you think it's a good time because everyone else is doing it, there's a reckoning will come, right? And something not good will happen. So everybody here, I want everyone to think 10R. John was a positive 10R. Yep. I want everyone to think about this for just a second. Everybody here is capable of a 10R month. I want you guys, not me saying it, I want you guys to say that to yourself right now out loud. I am capable of a 10R month. I'm capable of a 10R month. Now, I'd love to see 30 days from now, 31 days from now, how many of you guys are able to follow the plan, stick with it, use that extreme accountability that we talked about. Think of a 1R loss like a paper cut. It's not the end of the world. It's a paper cut. You'll live, I promise. If it's too big, reduce your R size. I wonder if you put a couple of these new components together that we talked about today, couple them together, if you can have amazing, amazing, totally night and day difference. We get testimonials every week from people who are like, oh, I followed your rules and things are a lot better now for me. I'm not so emotional. I'm not so this or that. And just trust me on this, okay? If you can follow your plan is designed to make you money, but it's up to you whether you follow your plan, okay? Okay, let me add a couple more. Netflix. What else? PLTR. Ross is capable. Everyone write that actually write that in the Slack channel right now. If you don't think you're capable, I want you to say this out loud every day, out loud, and write it in the Slack channel. I am capable of a 10R a month. There's nothing, even if you think that that's a little bit of fiction, it's okay, right? We all have to stretch a little bit. It's okay. I'm actually doing some interesting mind exercises. I'm in some classes on dreaming, and it's been an amazing experience. It's been for most people, it's been a rough year, right? For most people in the world, especially if you're in retail or whatever. But how amazing is it, guys, that we get to trade together, right? Like on my days off on Friday, I get to hang out with you guys in the afternoon room. It's not that I have to, it's that I choose to. This is what I want to do. I choose to do this, right? It's just such an amazing community. So I want you guys to do that. Right in the chat pane. I'm capable of a 10-hour month. Who knows what Slackbot will say, but if we are able to trigger some awesome responses from that, even better, right? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I will see you guys on Friday, and I will pass these along to Jeremy. Thank you so much. And remember to love life, live life, and trade it. Thank you, and have a good night.